Welcome to the Thriving Outside the Box podcast. Join me, Dr. Bonds-Grocher, a licensed psychotherapist, executive coach, and yoga and mindfulness meditation teacher, as I shed light on the stories of leaders and entrepreneurs across industries who not only dared to create their own path in their careers, businesses, and lives, but have found a way to do it while thriving mentally, physically, and spiritually. I hope you walk away with the inspiration to do the same. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Outside the Box. Today, I have with me the amazing Dr. Michelle Maidenberg. I know Dr. Maidenberg for the last few years, right? Like almost a decade.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. We met through a listserv where you were looking for people to come in and do mindfulness workshops at the Mount Vernon City Boys and Girls Club.
Yes. It's the Mount Vernon Boys and Girls Club. Yes.
Yep. And that is how we connected. So, Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you and tell us a little bit more about you and your expertise and all the amazing things you do and all the amazing things you put out into the world.
Thank you so much for having me. And I do want to say that I have invited you many times because I teach a mindfulness-based course at NYU. In their social work master's program. And I've had you come in so generously, to present on ethnicity, diversity, and you've been so helpful and incremental with my students, and they all adore you every single time you come. So I just want to thank you for that too.
Thank you. I look forward to doing it again next year.
Thanks so much. So a little bit about me. I have a private practice in Harrison, New York. And it really has to do more with the treatment that I do than, because people always ask, what type of person do you see? And it's really more about the treatment I do. So I do a combination. It's cognitive behavioral therapy, ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, which is a more mindfulness-based third wave CBT. I also do something called EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And it's most widely known for trauma, but I really use it for a lot of different types, of challenges, such as stuckness, relationship kind of challenges that come up and so forth and so on. I even use it for stress management. Sometimes I'll have clients just sitting with the bilateral stimulation, which is either auditory, which is kind of a sound that goes from ear to ear. It could be also tactile, which is vibrations going from hand to hand, or it could be eye movements, which is, again, visual. Very effective treatment. I've seen amazing transformation with that type of treatment. And I also weave in a little bit of IFS, which is internal family systems and parts work, and then a little bit of family systems and a little bit of mindfulness. Depends on what a person needs. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit called Thru My Eyes. And it offers free clinically guided videotaping for chronically medically ill individuals who want to leave a video legacy for their children and loved ones. I've been doing that for also over a decade. Really a passion of mine. I'm going to put it out there that I am looking for partners. I really want it to be more widespread, more national. It has been more local, and I really want to offer it to those, for example, I videotaped a woman who lived in rural America who was a mother of 7 children and was unfortunately ailing from cancer. And she didn't even have access to the internet. And she actually had to go to her doctor's office to use their internet in order for me to interview her. So those are the type of people I want to reach, people who don't have access. Yeah.
Definitely going to put that information in the show notes.
Yeah. So anybody, I am so open because I really just want to, get this kind of to a broader constituency.
Quick question about that. So is that for them and their family members, or do you share it other places?
No, it's just for the person and their family members. Again, if we do share it for any marketing or anything, of course we ask. We would never do it without, consent. I teach the graduate course at NYU, and it's integrating mindfulness into clinical practice. I'm also part of the American Red Cross crisis team, and I serve on the board of directors of the Westchester Trauma Network, which is in Westchester County. So I do a lot of trauma work, For example, when unfortunately, when there was the shooting in Newtown, this is going back a number of years, I met with the families that lost children. So I'm on the front lines when there's a crisis happening locally to go into, and work with the families and whatever else is needed. And last but not least, I'm an author. So I wrote 2 books. One is called Free Your Child from Overeating, and it's 53 mind-body strategies for lifelong health. I don't only use it with parents and families. I use it, again, across the board. I use it with adults. I use it, practitioners use it. It really focuses on more of the psychological barriers to health and wellness as opposed to health and nutrition, because there's a lot of resources out there. But people don't really talk about the psychological barriers. And that is the inhibitor that keeps the sustaining of health and wellness. So I think that's at the core of where we kind of falter in the society, I'm going to say. And my newer book is called Ace Your Life, Unleash Your Best Self and Live the Life You Want. And ACE stands for Acceptance, Compassion, and Empowerment. It's a model that I actually created. And I just finished a book proposal for a new book that's hopefully going to be coming out soon. Two proposals. It's a little bit of a secret, but I'm really excited. One is focused on couples and the other is on stuckness. So I'm really excited about those two. I'm a Psychology Today blogger. So once a month I publish. I actually just published one today, and it's called Should I Stay or Should I Go? And it's questions to ask yourself whether or not to stay in a relationship. So yeah. So it's hot off the press. Yeah. Should I stay or should I go? And then I have a YouTube channel where I offer guided meditations. So I'm doing a lot, writing a lot.
Oh, you forgot one thing, your TED Talk.
Oh, yes, my TED Talk.
That was enough.
I feel like that happened so long ago, but yes, I was proud of it, and something I'll never do again, ever. Because I have to say, gosh, hats off to TED Talk speakers. I never realized how difficult it was to do a TED Talk, but to stand there for like 10 to 15 minutes and just talk without any visuals or anything was really difficult, especially at my age. Yeah, so my TED Talk is called Circumventing Emotional Avoidance. And it really is the preface and the foundation to everything that I've written about, and actually my ACE method.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So in all of that, I do want to ask, what do you feel like about your life, about your path, about your career is outside of the box for you?
Yeah, I have to say the work that I've been doing in the last 5 years has blown me away. My personal work, really, that has been so tremendous for me personally. And also, I have to say it's changed the structure of the work I do with others. It really has. I feel so much more in my body. I feel so much more in my skin and myself. And it really comes from a couple of different places. I've been doing my own EMDR for myself. And I have to say, what's been difficult for me personally as a therapist is to really find therapy that works for me. Because one of my adaptations is I like to be in control. And I've always had to be because of, having somewhat of a neglectful, childhood, and really being in survival mode, like 24/7, literally. So I've always I was a parentified child, and I always had to be a step ahead to predict things so that I could protect myself and really be in survival mode 24/7. So I've really been trying to let go, and that's so hard for me. So I've been doing my own EMDR, and I actually went to a workshop and I saw a therapist present in front of the group. It was an EMDR workshop. And I was like, that is my woman, because she had such strength. And I saw that this woman's not going to let me get away with controlling the session. She's going to hold me accountable for my stuff. And she has. There was one session, I'll just tell you the story because it was so momentous for me, but I was struggling. And I said to her, I almost wanted her to rescue me in that moment because I was feeling so vulnerable and so much in pain. And she wouldn't. She just wouldn't say anything. And I got so frustrated. And I said to her, could you please say something? And she said, no. And I said, what do you mean? Please, I'm in pain. I was tearful. She said, no, you don't need rescuing. You could handle this. And I was like, what? And she said, this is the difference. She said, in the past, when you went through adversity and pain, You had to do it alone. You didn't have any witnesses. You didn't have anybody to tell you you're okay. I am here with you. I'm not going anywhere. I got your back. You don't have to go through this alone. And it's okay to be in pain. Like, you could handle it. And I have to tell you, wow, like that was so transformative for me because she was modeling everything that I needed. She was like the really consistent, good mother that I needed in the moment, like to validate me. And like after she said that, I was good. I was like, wow, she trusts me. She trusts me that I have enough strength to handle this. And I so respect her. So the fact that she thinks that I can handle this, like, wow, like mind blowing, right?
Yes.
So that's a big part of it. The second part of it is I've also been doing Jungian therapy with somebody who I highly respect as well, which is more like really going into in a really deep, incremental way of going back to your triggers and understanding what's getting activated and who it is that's getting activated. Because it's rarely like us in the present moment as an adult. It's like our child self. So I've been doing that work, and that has been like mind blowing too, because I realized when that happens, it's just literally, it's like that association that's so innate and so automatic that you don't end up being your best self because like you're literally possessed in the moment. And I really, really like incrementally and in a like loving, nurturing way been able, and I see the progress, I see my worthiness. I lean into my pain, all the things that I think, are so healthy and helpful. And I've been doing it myself, and I'm not always perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Had a moment last week where I was activated and I could have said, to who I was sharing my feelings with in a little bit of a kinder way, gentler way. And I owned it, and I took accountability and I apologized, and I was able to like hug the person and say like, I am so sorry. And like, you didn't deserve that. And that's huge because that's like being so vulnerable and admitting and seeing myself for not being perfect and not having it all together and being messy sometimes. And like, that's okay. So it's been such a journey, I have to say. And it's changed like, again, my development, it's changed like my journey, my path. And also the other big thing I have to say, one more thing is I really see and believe that every person and everything I go through is meant to be, and it's from the universe. And also I understand the lesson it's teaching me. Mm-hmm. Like, I get it. I'm like, oh my goodness, like, wow. Like, and I don't know where I'll end up, but like, I have a new freedom where I'm not attaching to anything, and that's okay. I don't have to be in control. And I even say that. I'm like, I'm letting go now. That's it. I'm letting go. And trust me, it doesn't feel good. It feels really scary and it feels destabilizing sometimes. But like, I allow myself to do that, which I haven't done in the past. And that to me is like huge.
So I love everything that you're sharing. And I want to just say thank you so much for sharing it, because it does take a lot of vulnerability and a lot of trust to open that up and talk about that, right? And like, it's interesting, right? Because when I asked you about what's outside of the box for you, you talked about this. You talked about what you're doing personally for yourself. And as a therapist, I think we can both honestly say that that is not necessarily encouraged, even in our field.
No.
Nope, because there is this expectation, whether people want to own it or not, that you are all together, you have it all figured out. Maybe somehow you bypass something in life that other people haven't. And so now you're helping people, but it's like, no, I'm human and I have stuff and I have to invest in doing my own work on my stuff.
And I'm going to even add to that, the stuff is what makes me a connected therapist, because I may not have gone through every single thing my clients have gone through, which that's been possible, right? But I get pain. I get adversity. I get struggle. I get it. Mm-hmm. And I could really connect. The other thing too, which I love what you said, there is an expectation that we have to be like emotionally all right, connected in order to be a good provider. And that's what makes me human. And that's what makes me authentic. One of the things that I have to say that is such a gift that my clients tell me, and I hear them say, is that they feel that I'm authentic. To me, I could almost well up in tears saying this. Like, that is the best thing anybody could say to me, like literally that they feel I'm authentic. And the other way that it's changed my practice, based on what you're saying too, is we're taught in school. And this was like literally, I can't even tell you, it was stressed so much, almost where I would be confused. Like, should I say something? Should I not? Like, I would get like anxious to disconnect, to hide yourself, to, right? Like that there's a hierarchy in the relationship. And do you know the mind-blowing sessions I've had that have gotten people moving the needle is when I was able to say to them, I care about you. You mean something to me. I feel your pain right now. And it's making me really sad, where they feel heard. And I had a client who said to me, I've never heard anybody say that to me before. And I was like, wow, just like, my therapist said to me, that was like a wow moment. So it is in the relationship that heals the parts of ourselves that need healing. It's in the corrective experience. It's in the repair. And where before I was like, I can't show myself, I can't be myself. Like there's this like hierarchy, there's this boundary I need to sustain because it's not professional. I do keep my boundaries. I'm very clear about that. However, I am relational. I am thinking about the other person and the connection. And that is formative in my mind. And I'm not embarrassed or resistant or, feel too vulnerable to share that.
Yep. I want to know how you got to this place. Was it in the last 5 years, like you talked about, or before? Because I think even this is out of the box because we both teach. We're both trained as social workers. So we've gone through that education and things. And some of my educational experiences were a little different than probably most because I did go to a historically Black college and university for my MSW, right? And so there was a little bit, I feel like, more of this relational, connected, be for real with boundaries.
I'm envious, by the way, but just saying.
Yeah. But most spaces, right, that is the norm. So how did you, again, was it in the last 5 years or was it along your journey that gave you the courage to say, I'm going to do this differently?
It really has to do with recognizing that I have repressed. Like my adaptation has been to repress my feelings. Like I realized, and this was like scary and it makes me sad, like till today, because I see even in my interactions with other people, sometimes things just don't come to me. It's not instantaneous. Even sometimes like, because I consider myself to be like a very thoughtful, detail-oriented human. And I am so like, I know I'm a caring, like generous human. But sometimes my actions weren't speaking to that. I started seeing a lot of disconnection. Like, why is it that, there's an example that always comes up in my mind that like hones in on this. I had a friend whose daughter was really sick one night and she was going to the emergency room and she was texting with me and she said, oh, I have to go to the emergency room, whatever. And I said, oh my God, if you need anything, like, please, I'm here, even 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And then the next day I said to her, I followed up, how are you? Oh my goodness. And she said, oh, so-and-so came to my house to watch my other child so that my husband could come with me to the emergency room. And I got so sad. Like I literally got so sad. And I felt so envious of that other person who came to their house because that's something I would do. It just didn't even dawn on me. It like literally just didn't dawn. And that's not like me. But I realized where that comes from. It's because I wasn't raised with kind of that nurturing, generous, thoughtful, because there was a lot of stuckness and intergenerational trauma. And I saw like things like that kept on coming up, and then in my relationship, that was like huge. I saw like years and years and years of repressing my feelings where it's like somebody would say something, do something, whatever. And it wouldn't dawn on me till days, weeks, like later. It didn't sit well with me, but I wasn't even aware of it. And I said, oh my goodness, this must be like an adaptation. This must be like my safety and survival strategy because I do it really well. Let me say, like I am a master, let me tell you. And by the way, I do appreciate that part of me because it did help me to survive. It did help me to thrive. It did help me to get to where I am today. And I would not take that back for anything in the world. I want you to know, because I am so proud of who I am, However, I am also sad for the part of me that needed to survive in that way for so long. So once I started to discover all of that, I was like, let me take a deep dive into this because something's not right. And I am not living my best life. Like there's something that's keeping me stuck. And that's actually the other big piece when I was writing my ACE method. That sealed the deal for me because I started to like write and read and research. And I was like, wow, like this book is for me too. Literally, this is talking to me. And I am not accepting mediocrity. Like life is really short and I want to be my best self. And I even say this, like if I died tomorrow, I would die with a smile on my face because I feel like I really, every day is intentional and every day is purposeful, and that's how I want to be. And I have to say in my past relationship, I wasn't my best self. I'm sad for that person because I wasn't my best person for the person. And that makes me really sad. And I'm like regretful, and I could own that. I'm not blaming and I'm not shaming because I own my stuff and I see my part in it, and that's like huge.
In psychology terms, that takes so much ego strength
Yeah.
to be able to say I was wrong. I wasn't the best person for you or to you. I wasn't the best person to myself. I feel like I'm going to put this up on something on my wall in front of my desk that says, if I died tomorrow, I would die with a smile on my face. Like, how powerful is that?
Yes. And what that is, and that this is really being able to understand what your values are and living your life according to your values. And I talk about that a lot, about doing a values review every single day. And that's what guides your behavior every moment of every day in a mindful, intentional way. And that has been like really what's changed my life fundamentally.
So tell the listeners what that looks like. How can you identify your values and then like assess them every day?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, because I write a whole chapter about it in my book, there's all different exercises you could do. I do one with cards, which is it's actually really engaging and fun. And, I'm able to really kind of do a deep dive because I'm able to understand even the way a person does the cards itself is pretty fascinating. And it speaks a lot for decision making and, all of that. But there are values that we acquire, there are values that we aspire, there are values that are circumstantial. And I explain what that is. And then we talk about if you were to lean into a specific value, what are we doing? Not what are we thinking, not what are we feeling, but what are we doing? What action are we taking on behalf of that value? And that's what the values review is essentially. The reason why it's so empowering and so helpful is what we do. And I'll just use the example with parenting, just because it's easier to kind of think about it this way. But we could, like as a parent, as a working mom, right? And again, my kids are older now, but like when they were younger, especially, I was always in conflict between work stuff and kid stuff, right? And essentially as a working mom, you're kind of in a position where you're feeling like you're never good enough. You're not paying enough attention to your work. You're not paying enough attention to your kids. And it's like literally something that we have to accept as being a working mom. But here's this. If you recognize, right, like parenting as a core value, right? And what does that mean? If I'm not able to do let's say a kid thing and I have to do a work thing, instead of going into this space of shame and guilt, right? And like this negative self-talk, I'm horrible, I'm a bad parent, which is very global, of course, right? And exaggerated. I could say to myself, in this moment, I need to lean into my career values. That doesn't wipe away my parenting values. It means that there's a conflict of values in this moment, and I have to decide and give it priority in this moment. And I could say to myself, good for me for feeling disturbed. I am so proud of myself would I really want to feel any other way? Would I want to be okay with not essentially going to an event for my child? I am so proud that I'm disturbed right now. Good for me. And I could say, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm going to say, okay, I can't do the kid thing, but how am I going to still pay attention to it so that I could still be into that value? Because what we do, this is again, emotional avoidance. What we do is like, oh my God, that feels so terrible. I feel like a bad mom. I don't even want to deal with that. I'm cutting off that part of me in this moment because that's too painful to even think about. So I'm going to just do my career thing and I'm going to do it without like paying attention to anything else. And then I might neglect my parenting value, right?
Altogether. Yeah.
I'm going to ask their dad, like, when you're there, could you please videotape it so that I could watch it and I could watch it with my child and talk to them about it or whatever. That's just an example. Most people argue with me that they know what their values are. People get confused over goals and values. So I do all these different types of, I do the cards and in my book, I actually give links to different, websites where you could actually, kind of extrapolate your values. There's a lot of resources on the web. Again, and I explain in the book, like how to go through the process, to usually you kind of narrow it down to 9 to 11 values because you really, really want to get to the core values. I mean, today it's so interesting because I laughed at myself. Because I was like, gosh, this work is really ingrained in me because I wrote a post for my son who's 22 today. It's his birthday. And what I wrote on the post is, I am so proud of you that you lean into your value of kindness, adventure, and intellect. And I was laughing at myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, look. But I took a pause and I was like also proud of myself because I was like, gosh, I really know him well.
And he knows himself to communicate what his values are.
Right. And when I thought about it that way, I was like, A, how cool that I know that about him. 2, how cool that he knows that about him. And 3, how cool is that he's actually paying attention to it and putting effort into those values. And I was like, okay, Michelle, stop it. But it was cute because I was able to really see like that. It like kind of played out even in my post, it was funny.
Well, it's a thread. Right?
Yeah,
Your values are a thread through your life.
And by the way, like, here we go. That's teaching him and modeling to him that when he's acting, he could think to himself, does this lead into like my kindness? Does this lead into my adventure? Does this lead into my intellect? And right now he's touring Europe with his fraternity brothers because he graduated college and he's doing like these amazing things. He's sending me videos. I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't even want to know because some of it is not exactly all that safe, but whatever. but I'm just saying like adventure, like, oh my goodness, like he is living adventure right now as we speak.
That is awesome, Michelle. So I know we got to get ready to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners?
I don't know. I think every day I'm reminded in some way of our fragility. I think there's so much going on in the world right now. I mean, there always is, but like, especially now, and I think that cuts across every person in the USA, like literally there's some dimension of it. Yeah. That's impacted by things, and I just see, unfortunately, I have a friend right now who's, young brother with 5 children is not doing well because of cancer. I see the suffering that goes on in my clients, every day, and such unexpected and uncertainty that we have in our lives on a daily basis. And I know, right, I'm preaching to the choir, but like every day is so important. Every moment is so important. And I try my best to really be in the present moment and to really take that time intentionally, and I don't have time, make the time. And I don't even care if it's like 5 minutes a day. Like if you lean into your worthiness, ask yourself, are you worth 5 minutes a day? And what you do is going to dictate how you feel about yourself. So I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. Again, this is Dr. Michelle Maidenberg. Tell the people where they can find you. It'll also be in the show notes, but sometimes people like to hear it.
Sure. So the best place is my website because it has all the information. It actually also has a quiz to identify your stuckness. So you can take the quiz and that's fun too. But it's Michelle with 2 L's and Maidenberg is Maidenberg. And I'm always happy to interact. And I really am passionate about people and people thriving in the way that they deserve to.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I love this because I feel like this episode was a bit of therapy for everybody as well as your story.
It helps me too. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.